Hi, welcome to the first edition of Lost in Space with Montana Kennedy. Normally, I've been playing Minecraft and World of Tanks, but seeing as how this last few weeks I've been getting really hooked into a new game that's on Steam, currently in alpha. It's called Space Engineers. It's a sandbox game like Minecraft, but you've got all kinds of fun stuff like this. You have spaceships, star bases you can make, all kinds of fun things. Not quite Star Wars or Star Trek quite yet. Really, it's a lot more physical, and you really have to go in and kind of do the work. But with the stuff that we do need to do, I think what I'm going to show you right here is just an idea. I'm just flying around a little bit. I'll go more into the physics of this at some other point, but on this one, I want to talk a little bit about some introductions they made just this week about trying to help do the collection of different pieces of equipment. Uh, this is just your basic mining ship that you get in Space Engineers. Just to give you an idea, I'll come up here and I'll mine a little bit off of this rock that's right here. Turn on the drills, and some of this stuff you're going to learn really easy while you go into the game. There we are. We're engaging with the drills going in. And I'm mining some stone right now. Got some other things. So the way that this game initially was set up, it was kind of tiring going in and trying to get your drilling done and gather your resources, and that way just a lot like Minecraft. I'm going to jump back out backside. The problem with gathering your resources is in a lot of ways it was kind of like Minecraft, how you would have to go and gather your materials, and when you went to gather your materials, you go, you mine, you grab them, you take them and stick them wherever you want to, whether you're going to be in a building, something like in a crafting table or something like that. Here you'd have to manually come into your drills, take a look, and see I've got all these materials in the drill. This is the reactor that's on the ship. So all of this is in the other drill. And still has a couple of cargo containers. So if you fill up the drills while you're flying around, you can manually move stuff into the cargo containers. But you can see you've got 13,500 liters worth of volume. Small cargo containers on a little ship like that, 125, that's not a lot. So even once you get cleared up, you're not going to do much. So what I'm going to do here is to show you a little bit of what you would normally have to go through. There we go. I'm going to take that material from the drill, bring it over here to the refinery, and you hear that spin up. And I went ahead and I jumped into a multiplayer mode just because I wanted you guys to be able to see the numbers count down. If you are in the single player mode, then you're not going to be seeing those numbers jump at all until after you jump in, because anytime you go into a window like this, the game pauses. If you're a multiplayer, it's not quite to the point of being kind of server level like there is in Minecraft, but if you go into multiplayer, the game just keeps playing, so you get a little bit of a chance to go. So it's refining the gold right now. If I want to, I can move the uranium over, have it start refining uranium. It starts kicking that out. Iron gets turned into iron, and so essentially you get the raw materials get turned into the ingots. The ingots that you can then, right now, I've got the refinery built on top of the assembler. So if I want to produce something, I can set those up, and as it goes through, I'll go ahead and have it start doing iron first. See, it's starting to kick the iron out, and it automatically puts the iron into the assembler. But then once that gets done, there's not a whole lot of easy ways to go about getting the material to do anything else, much less, like, say, for example, the uranium that was produced. In order to get hold of that, I'll go ahead and start producing some more. I would have to grab that material myself. And here's a small cargo container I also have on this platform, and the reactor. There's a small cargo container. If I want to place some materials in there, I can do that. I can't take materials like that and put them in. I can't take materials from there and put them in. Let's say if I wanted to take these materials and stick them in this reactor over here, I would have to come over and physically drop them into the reactor. And since I'm in creative mode, it's not going to really use any of those materials. If this was a survival mode game, it would start working on that, and I'd be able to take a look at what the work time is available as a result of that. This over here I set up to show you a little bit more about what you can do now. A couple of things that I've done here. Not only one, I've modified the mining ship a little bit, and I've modified this base up a little bit. Essentially, it's the same thing that's in the base over here, except I've got everything all connected. I keep looking at the new connector units, and there's conveyors, which are these boxes right here. They allow you to move from the tubes into any of 6 directions, and you can have these just one big habit trail I keep thinking of. And so I've got the refinery right here. You can run everything through to the conveyors. This one runs over to the assembler. I've got my reactor hooked up into it. I've got a big storage unit hooked up into it. And I've got 2 other units that have been around for a while that are finally getting used. These are collectors. These yellow pieces up here, and just like the little funnels they look like, that's exactly what they are. You drop stuff in, they enter in through all of the conveyors, through the connector tubes, and you can just kind of set this stuff all up. And down there is called a collector, and the collector right now you can use to kick stuff out to get used for something else. There's also small ship versions of those, whereas the other ship originally just had the drills and had a couple of these little storage units off to the side. What I have done is I have modified them, and actually I see that I'm going to need to do 2 more here. I'm going to put a conveyor right there, and I'm going to put a conveyor right there. And so what I've done is where we just had a little storage unit right there and right there, and you had the drill, you had those on both sides. What I've now done is I have a conveyor mounted on the top of the drill. I've got a connector tube right there going to other conveyors to the storage units, and then from one of the storage units I have a collector. And actually I keep using the wrong terms for those. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the right terms are. There's a collector, that's the funnel device. You've got the conveyor tubes and the conveyors, and then a connector. And the connector, I believe, from what I understand, they're going to be using that someday, so you can connect big ships to little ships, connect the ships to the tubes, all kinds of different things you can do that way. But I've seen some different videos with some really fun looking tricks you can do with those. So anyway, what happens now is, with the way that this is all set up, is I'm going to go ahead and show you the inventory. I've got small cargo container with some stuff, small cargo container with some stuff, small cargo containers. That drill's got lots of material. That drill's got lots of materials. And look, here's the connectors that are in there. They can hold up to a certain amount, and so I want to show you what you can do with the control panels. On everything you have, for example, drill, use a conveyor system, on or off. If you turn that off, it just fills up the drill and then it won't suck up anymore. Same thing. And so then on the connectors though, they have a fun thing, throw out and collect all. And if you have collect all and throw out, if you have those, depending on how you have those set up, they aren't going to be doing anything, or they're going to be doing everything. And you'll see here in a second what I'll have set up. So I'm going to fly right now over my collectors. Let's make sure I'm right over it. And remember, I've got my connectors just a little bit ahead of midships. Okay, it looks like I'm pretty well centered over all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and set throw out and throw out, and then you can see everything is just dropping out, and those rocks are just dropping right down into there. So I'll jump out of the ship and we'll come down and see where we're at. You can hear the refinery just going. I'm going to come down here to my control panel, and on the control panel I've got it set up so the assembler is using the conveyor system. I've got the refinery set up. Right now its conveyor system is off. So if we go to inventory, see the refinery is gathering all kinds of materials and nothing else is going anywhere else. I've got this material dropping from the ship into a collector, material dropping from the ship into a collector. This is some of the material I was playing around with earlier. And then as we go, this material is dropping in, and you see it's filling up, and the refinery is converting it. It's filling it up, and then as it converts, materials are coming in. I can drop stone in, and that'll clear out a lot of stuff. But you can see how that's coming through, and that's filling up, but there's nothing else going on. Let's go into production and say I want to build a whole bunch of heavy armor blocks. And so what it's done is, even though there were no materials in the assembler, it just grabbed exactly what it needs to go into the assembler, and so it's going through to start making the steel plates that you see right there using the iron ingots. And if it ran out, it'll just grab that material as it needs from inside there. So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see, as that material comes through, it's going to be able to start filling on it. Right now you just see the stone and the iron that's in there. And one of the reasons why I threw the stone in there is because I know that the stone goes through and gets turned into gravel a lot faster than a lot of the other stuff does. And so once that gets through there, something else I can do, I can take the material from here and drag it right down into that large cargo container. Oh, and there it goes, through that stuff in. So let's go ahead and we'll throw uranium in. Before we do that, I want to see what the reactor's at. Uranium has half a kilo of uranium that's in there right now. And what I like to do is just sit and watch this, move the uranium to the front of the queue, and it starts going through, and it starts filling it up, and every time it hits 1/100th of a kilo, so you figure, what's that, 10 grams of uranium. Every time it does that, it kicks it over into there. So you've got 0.55 kilos of uranium right now in the small reactor, and it just keeps on going through, and it'll add on more and more, and it adds on more and more. And so that's basically kind of all you need to do with that. Some of the other fun stuff that you can do, though, is as you go through with the assemblers, and it's moving everything into the collectors. You already saw how I move stuff into the large cargo containers. One of the other fun things is over here, to give you an idea of the connector, is I'm going to take the connector and I'm going to take that, stick it on throw out. And anything that is not being used gets chucked out of there. And it also, one of the things, it has to collect first in order to throw it out. And so now it's grabbing everything that's in the system, anywhere in the system, and throwing it out. So sometimes you have to kind of watch out what you're doing with that. I've seen some really neat things, though, with connectors where they've been connectors and collectors where they've been set up in a 0G environment. and they've been set up so they can shoot materials from one into the other just continuously in a stream, and it allows somebody else to drop in with a ship, for example, using a collector and grab stuff out. And there's a really good example of that in Space Engineer's own release video that they showed regarding this subject. And so I hope you've enjoyed my first Space Engineers video, and I'm planning on doing others in the future. If there's something you want to see, go ahead and send me a note in the comments. Other than that, I hope to hear from you if there's anything you need, and otherwise, please don't forget to thumb up the video or to subscribe and take a look at my World of Tanks and my Minecraft posts. And one of these days, I may be putting Carl in Space Engineers just like I put him in Minecraft. Have a good day.